feature that we were able to make available with this last release was the Glossary Tool feature, which was made possible by contributions of code from Alex and Brad at BC Campus. So thank you to them. And we launched it on Wednesday with a couple weeks of like development work to make it mesh really well with what we already offer on Pressbooks. So I'll go ahead and you can see that on the left sidebar menu here under Organize, there's a new tab called Glossary Terms. I should also preface by saying that I'm doing this demo from the user account of a regular user. So you're not going to see any network manager options on this screen. This is what your users would see and how you would describe to them how to find these. And you would have more options on this menu as a network manager. So let's go to glossary terms. You'll see that I've created a few already. From this page, we can make new glossary terms individually. Click Add New. I'll just make one quickly. So the title, the definition is pretty basic, but we plan on adding additional functionality to this to be able to let users create bold and italics and add links as well, but that is not possible at this time. So over here in the right side, you'll see that there are two options, one for status and visibility and one for glossary type. In the status and visibility menu, you have the option to show or not show a term in a glossary list. So this is something that that keeps the terms that you're creating from going into a big glossary list that you can put at the end of your book that gets created automatically. I'm going to keep this unchecked because I don't want it to be in the glossary list. I'm going to create my term. Okay. The glossary type is something that is going to be a future development. Right now, you can't make different glossary types. You just have the one, but that's something we're building onto in the future. I'm going to go back to the Mass Glossary term page. So you'll see that the one that I just created is unlisted, which means that it's private. You can see the difference between the listed and unlisted or published and private terms on this page to know which ones are going to be generated when you make a full glossary list. You can also see the options to edit and trash any of those and see which terms of trash and be able to like reinstate those later. So now I'll go into our chapter. I've taken some public domain text from Pride and Prejudice here. So now you see that there's a new icon on the visual editor called Insert Glossary Term. You can, the way that I just showed you from the glossary page is one way to create these new glossary terms, but you can also create them directly from the chapter that you're working in. So just highlight the term that you want to add a glossary definition to, click the Insert Glossary Term button on the visual toolbar, and then you'll see that it autofills the word that you've put in there. It won't do that if you haven't highlighted a word, and you can just insert a new one, but this just helps speed up the process. So I'll add a definition and click Insert, and it'll add a shortcode there. So you're not going to see the term like pop up in the visual editor. You will only see it once you are actually looking at your exports. So I've added a glossary term for that, and then you may have noticed that I created the word neighborhood earlier. So I'm going to go highlight the word neighborhood, and then I'm going to click Insert Glossary Term. So it automatically brings me to the Choose Existing Term panel because it's recognized that this is a word that I've already created a definition for. So I'm going to leave it on the selected term neighborhood and insert. Oh, bring me back up. Okay, so I've added two new glossary terms, and I'm going to save my chapter. All right, so I can click the word and see the new tooltip. And then I can click it again to close it out. So That's how you create glossary tooltips. What we've seen here, the tooltip that appears, we're adding more styles to that as well, so that the appearance of that is going to change over time. But this is how the tooltips appear for now, and how they can be functional as like an add-on to your web book. To clarify, these tooltips won't work in PDF and EPUB, but they do work in your web book, and they won't be visible in the other export forms. So they fall back gracefully. Nobody's going to know that there was supposed to be a glossary term there, but they will see the glossary list at the end of the book. The glossary list will appear in exports in all formats.
I also
so we'll go on to that next.
Just real quickly, if you go back to that live example, I also wanted to note that you can also see the tooltip even without clicking, just by rolling over. If you notice there's a tooltip that does appear. That is your definition that will appear on rollover. But if you click it, it would appear and stay there visibly on the page until it's clicked again, just as the tooltip behavior for right now. Sorry for interrupting, Taylor. Go ahead.
Well, it's all good. Thanks for catching that. Okay, so I'm going to go back to our organized page now and then navigate down to the back matter. So I want to create a full glossary list, and I want it to happen automatically. And I want it to exclude the ones that I've created as unlisted. So I'm going to name this glossary, and then I'm going to go over to back matter type menu over here on the right side of the screen, and I'm going to scroll down and click glossary as the back matter type. Now you'll see a banner appear at the top that says, to display a list of glossary terms, leave this back matter's content blank. So if you put anything in this field, in the editor field, that would intervene with the glossary list appearing. But if you leave it blank and click create, we'll go to the web book and see that it has created an automatically alphabetized and designed glossary list of all of the terms that I've added to the book, whether through the visual editor or through the glossary page, and excludes the ones that I've said that I don't want to show in the glossary list.
On this particular example, I wanted to note that the thing that makes the magic happen there was Taylor selecting the glossary type from the back matter. The title of that could be anything. The title is not restricted. She didn't have to title that back matter glossary. She could have called the back matter glossary for my book, or book glossary, or list of key terms, or whatever, not a glossary. The magic happened because of the back matter type selected, and you have free ability to choose whatever title you wanted, just to specify.
Yep. Okay, so that is all I wanted to cover with the glossary. I'll go ahead and end my screen sharing and toss it back to Steele.
Great. Taylor, we had a quick question from Jim in the chat. And the question was, is the term unlisted because you did not share it with the main glossary list for the book? Yes, that's what that means. So that unlisted term, you'll note, did not appear in Taylor's glossary list. And if a term—
but unlisted glossary terms still can be used as tooltips. So they can be used functionally throughout your book the same way, and you can add a tooltip to your book and then go back later and make it unlisted.
So Jim's question was, if a term's unlisted, are there any restrictions on user visibility? And Taylor answered that by saying, no. It can be used in a book. It just won't be generated in that auto list at the end of the book. Thanks for that question, Jim.